What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Tottenham finally, after 70 odd days or whatever it may be, Tottenham finally have a manager in Nuno Espirito Santo, formerly of Wolves and formerly of Valencia. I think it's a good appointment, seeing as the kind of managers we've been linked with over this kind of period. Obviously, the only two managers I would have taken over Nuno that we have been linked with is Poch and Conte, and I think that, and obviously Nagelsmann right at the beginning. But I think Nuno's a good manager. I think that he played good football with Wolves up until last season, where he had a lot of injuries to deal with, and obviously the absolutely mental injury with Raul Jimenez. And their talisman in Jota leaving. I mean, they had a lot of issues to contend with last season, Wolves. And that is why you saw the kind of football diminish. But, you know, every time we've seen them come up against Tottenham, they've completely played us off the park. Even if we've beaten them, they've played really good football. And yeah, I'm just really happy with Nuno. And I think he's a manager who can kind of play both ways. He can be a pragmatist. He can also play nice expansive football as well. So I'm kind of happy, and I think he can kind of adapt to situations.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's not just the way he's got his teams competing. As you say, we've always had a tough time playing against Wolves, but I always also remember, like, every time they come up against a big team, I remember Adama Traore scoring a double at the Etihad when they beat Man City 2-0. I remember the number of times they've come up against Man City and played really, really well, and either got a result or came very, very close to it. And Nuno was definitely a massive part of that. All the players always sing his praises. Conor Cody was very, very complimentary about Nuno in his Sky Sports interview last season. I think he's definitely one who can get a unit together, who can get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. And I think he's a real class act as a manager, and despite the fact they had a very difficult last season, I think he definitely comes with pedigree of improving teams, even if it's only for the short term. Although he was at Wolves for 4 years. Before that, though, he did kind of struggle to stay at a club for more than 2 years, which is something to note. But I think the job he did at Wolves, you know, taking them from the Championship to top 7, or two top 7 finishes or 2 top 8 finishes in a row, and then I think is a very good achievement, and I think he deserves respect coming into the job of as a manager who should be given a bit of time and should be allowed time to kind of develop his style. And I think a lot of the hashtag no to Nuno and everything, I remember at the time, even before he was actually going to be appointed, I was very disappointed with that reaction, because I don't think he deserves that. I don't think he was of a manager of a caliber who deserved that kind of reaction of our fan base. And I was a bit embarrassed, to be honest, when I saw that hashtag trending a week ago now, I think it was. But now he is our manager, and I think we should all get behind him. And if you do have anger, it should not be directed at Nuno, because he doesn't deserve it, and it should be directed where it rightfully should be aimed towards, and which is the hierarchy. Who have made an absolute pig's ear of this whole managerial search. And to be honest, we could have had Nuno 2 months ago, and he would have been well ahead of his preparation, well ahead of pre-season, and we could have been moving forward 2 months ago. Instead, we went left, right and centre in a managerial search, trying every different manager we could find, realistic, unrealistic, defensive, attacking, pragmatic, inventive. And we ended up pretty much where we could have been 2 months ago when he left Wolves. So I think I was about to say a lesson for the hierarchy to learn, but I don't think they're beyond learning lessons at this point. So,
mate, this hierarchy don't even deserve us to talk about them, to be honest. They're just absolute shit show. This managerial search has probably been the biggest farcical managerial search in the history of football, never mind Premier League football. I mean, it's been absolutely nuts. And what was it, 70 odd days, if not more, without a manager. And like you said, we could have had him right at the beginning. But look, at the end of the day, he's here now, just before pre-season starts. Pre-season does start on Monday, so he would have only started now anyway. So,
well, you at least if you. I know, yes, he would only start pre-season now, but all the planning and everything. It's pretty much 2 months of wasted time. That's the truth. That we could have used that time constructively to move forward, looking towards next season, and that time's gone now. We can't go back. We can't plan now. We have to start plan. We can't plan 2 months ago. We have to start planning now. And, you know, he's going to have to judge a squad now where he could have maybe spent that time analysing the squad, deciding who he wants, who he doesn't want, who he wants to bring in. And he's going to have to do that with a week to pre-season instead of the whole 2 months. It's just we've wasted 2 months, basically. And that's the reality.
It is what it is now. He is in the manager's hot seat. Pre-season does start on Monday. So I think it's important for everyone to back this manager, to get behind him, to really support him up until the end, up until we can see it's going wrong, or up until the very end, to be honest, because I think he deserves that, and any new Spurs manager should deserve that. And I'm just happy we've got someone that's a competent Premier League manager through the door. And I'm really excited. To what he's going to bring to Tottenham. I think that, like I said before, I really like his style of play. All his teams really fight tooth and nail for him. They press the shit out of teams. They really, really go for teams. They play nice attacking football. Nuno ball is on the way, and they're also solid at the back as well. So I'm very, very excited. I can see another person who's very, very excited in the back there in Ariane, and let's get him on to see his thoughts on Nuno Espirito Santo.
How you guys doing?
1 second, Ariane. My headphones all tangled up. 1 sec.
1 sec.
All right.
Classic. Ariane.
What's going on, guys?
Yes, Ariane.
Can you hear me?
How's it going, my friend?
Wonderful. I think I've been pestering you guys all day for like last day, just for you to go live.
We're here now.
Wonderful. I've been waiting for this like 3 a.m. in the States, and I'm still up.
Talk to me. Talk to me about your initial feelings of Nuno.
Look, honestly, okay, so he's linked with us and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, it's a bit underwhelming, so I'm not going to get too excited over this, but I'm happy we finally have a manager. But when I see that amount, and I actually missed it, I was about 20 minutes late to it, but when I see that announcement, there's just kind of like a rush of excitement. I was like, you know what, no, like and it happens, you're like 72 days, finally he's here, and like, you just mentioned, I feel like he got a bit disrespected and stuff, and I'm like excited. Like he's exciting, and he presses, like you said, they press the shit out of them. He fight tooth and nail, and it's his teams tend to have this bit of like a passion that we haven't seen recently. For like the 2 games that come to my mind immediately, where they fight to the very end, was the 3-2 win against City, where they were 2-0 down. They had to make a comeback, where City got a red card, I believe, but they still were 2-0 down to Manchester City. It's not an easy game. And they also the 3-2 win against us, where they were 2-1 down, and they managed to pull it back. Doherty actually scoring the winner. So
I think, Ariane, time and time again, this Nuno Wolves team have played us off the park. Even when we've won the game, lost the game, whatever the result have been, they've always given us a very, very, very tough game. Always. Absolutely,
especially at home. They know how to play at home. Like the Molineux has been brilliant for them. So hopefully, if we can make Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the new one, we have a fortress like he did with the Molineux, that would be absolutely brilliant for us, because we've needed that stadium to have some energy. Especially since we got rid of White Hart Lane, especially like after that season that went undefeated in it. So if he could do that for us, that'd be brilliant. And I mean, like you said, I think you were the one who quoted a tweet where they scored this brilliant goal. Like passing play, and it was a finish from Diogo Jota, and it's like it's so exciting to see a manager that likes to play football like that again. And I don't know, it's something about him actually just gets me so excited, man. Like, yeah.
What do you think about his first little snippet of an introduction interview on Spurs Twitter and on the Spurs website and everything? Because I, for one, I mean, my reaction to it was like it got a bit of shades of Poch in there.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that kind of tainted it for me was how many times towards the end he mentioned DNA. Not because that's bad, because you could just tell that was impressed on him by the club. Like, they definitely pressed him to say the word DNA about 5 times. But
Daniel
honestly,
Levy is like, if you take this job, you must say DNA 5 times in the opening interview.
Right. Honestly, like it was when he said with the confidence he had when he said we're going to make the fans proud. Something about that, man. It was like refreshing, and you think about it, you're like getting excited because he seems like he really wants this job. He wants to go forward with it, and it's the confidence, and I don't know, there's just something about him that he gives off, man. And I'm so happy to have him here in that interview. Like you said, when he said the shades of Poch, it's that fire in him that he wants this job. He wants to do the best for the fans. He looks like he's going to go out there. He's going to give everything. He's going to fight for us. He's going to coach his team to the very best he can. And, he has a decent track record. People are going to say, oh, Wolves were very boring this season. They had, 30-something goals. They had less goals than West Brom or one more goal than West Brom.
They had less goal involvements than Kane.
And that, okay, they can say that, but it's like they had just lost Diogo Jota, who we said at Liverpool was a brilliant player, and they lost Raul Jimenez. Like, remember what happened when you took out Kane and Son from our side? Like, how is he supposed to manage a whole season like that? So I'm not going to put too much credit into the one season he didn't do well with two major losses and just disregard the other seasons.
The previous seasons with him as well. They're just
exactly
them off like they never happened.
Exactly, and he completely overachieved with his Wolves side. Remember when they first promoted? I mean, you don't expect a promoted side to finish 7th and then finish 7th the next year.
Yeah.
Right? You look at what happened with Sheffield United. You always have second season syndrome. He didn't have that. He only had a drop off when his major key players were injured. That's a completely different story. You sold Doherty, you sold Jota, and you lose Jimenez. That's 3 major players of his side now lost. Like, it's not like he was with a fully fit squad where he just underperformed. Absolutely not. And there were some harsh games in there. For example, I'm trying to think the draw against us. They played quite well, and we just defended really well. And at the very end, they got that one goal with Roman Saiz. But again, our goal came very early, and we had pretty much no other chances. My memory could be completely off. We had no other chances to my knowledge.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They still perform. It's just they never had that finishing touch. Fabio Silva missed about 50 goals, if I remember correctly, right? So it's I'm not going to brush him off because of one poor season. Absolutely not. It's honestly exciting when you finally get it in.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ariane. But is there a frustration, the fact that Nuno left his job at Wolves 2 months ago now? At the end of it was the end of the season, 23rd of May. He resigned as Wolves manager, mutual consent. And now it's 2 months later, and he's finally Tottenham manager. But what have we done for these 2 months? Been doing nothing, haven't we? Just wasting time.
Yes, of course. It's very frustrating, and I can't help but think there's only 2 things off the top of my mind, and it could be both of them that are the reasons. It's just incompetence, and even this delay is going to lead to some more money for ENIC, and I'm going to expect. I think it's pretty obvious. The season ticket timing with that Conte and Poch links were just undeniably shady. The fact that right before season tickets, now we're suddenly linked with arguably the best manager probably right now in the world, Antonio Conte. He's up there definitely, right?
Yeah.
And the second the season ticket renewals, boom, gone.
We were joking about it at the time. We were saying that, oh yeah, once season ticket renewal's done, once that date is over, these managers will be nowhere near the press and us. And that's exactly how it played out to an absolute T. The day after season ticket renewals, Conte rules himself out. Poch is completely gone. But look, at the end of the day, this whole managerial situation has been a complete farce. But we've got Nuno in now, and it's time to completely back him, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've seen some people immediately with no to Nuno in their names. I mean, what are you talking about? Why? He hasn't even done anything, dude. He literally has not managed the game, he hasn't been on the pitch. How are you going to say no to Nuno? It could be a complete surprise package. I want to back him all the way, give him a fair shot. I don't care who the man. If it was Nuno, the only manager I really wouldn't back is Gattuso. But other than Gattuso, because of just personal reasons, literally Fonseca, Nuno, Potter, Eddie Howe, I would back them to my fullest extent until they gave me a reason not to. And until Nuno gives me a reason not to, I'm going to back him all the way, 110%. I'm ready for next season. I'm excited for next season. I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to go excited. I'm going to go optimistic. I'm going to go in ready to just be excited about football again, man, because it's going to be enjoyable to watch again. As much as I like Mourinho, I'm going to be the first to admit that towards the end, his football, it was a little bit stale. It was a little bit kind of, when you go into the game when you just have this kind of feeling in the back of your mind that, oh, it's gonna be a drag. I'm kind of really looking forward to Man City. Like before this manager search, I was kind of dreading that game. I was like, oh, we're gonna start the season so poorly. Man City first game, we're gonna lose 2-3-0. It's gonna be embarrassing. It's gonna be a horrible way to start the season off. Now I'm going in there like it's exciting, man. Like it's just, I don't know. I've been so hyped the whole day because of this, man.
Ariane, before I let you go, is this a lifeline for Matt Doherty?
Oh, yeah, honestly, absolutely. And I actually was thinking about this. Matt Doherty, on one hand is going to be brilliant. Or not, maybe I don't know, but I think under Nuno knows how to coach him. He's been, I think, the whole time Nuno was at Wolves, except for this season. Matt Doherty was there, and he's nurtured him, and he's made him the player that he was when we signed him. So I think Matt Doherty is really going to probably be one of the happiest players that Nuno got the managerial role. And I was thinking, on the other hand, another player that could really benefit is Sessegnon. On the left wing back slot on the opposite end. You know, Reguilon definitely has a shot there, but also I think Sessegnon is going to be quite a surprise because with how he's been for Hoffenheim this season, I think he could be quite surprising in how he competes with Reguilon. I don't know who's going to probably Reguilon's still going to be first choice, but it's a bit of a toss-up in my opinion. I think there's something in it for Sessegnon. I'm quite excited to see that. And also, because I'm Ben Davis FC, I want to see how he chooses to manage it. Because, okay, let's be real. Even though at Swansea when we signed Davis and all, he was supposed to be this flying fullback with whatever. That's not what he is, right? I want to see if he's going to manage him as a left center back and how he's going to go for that. I'm genuinely intrigued by this because I think in a back three at left center back, this has been discussed before. I think when Mourinho played him at left center back and the back two, I think it could be interesting, and there's definitely something in it, depending on especially how we do in the market, to play Davis at left center back. So that's just all. I've been thinking about this like all day, man.
I'm sure any new manager, you'll try to fit Ben Davis in any way possible.
Any way at all. Anyway.
Ariane, absolute pleasure to have you on, man. And,
as always.
We'll speak to you soon. And it's coming home.
Come on, you Spurs. And it's coming on. I'll be on Saturday watching.
Awesome.
We've got a super chat from Faisal Al-Wad. She says, been a tough time for us Spurs fans, but let us back our new manager. Hopefully a good season with the trophy at least. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all hoping for. It's interesting to hear Ariane say, we'll see what he wants to do with Ben Davis at left centre-back. But, you know, there's no guarantee he'll play a back three, is there?
There's no guarantee, but I do expect he will. I think...
Valencia, he didn't, did he?
No, he didn't, but I think he'll change it up in terms of who we're playing as well. I don't think it's going to be a set way we play every single game. But I think he'll just mix and match and try find the best solution for us. And I think a back three could actually work. We're looking at signing a few defenders now. This Tomiyasu from Japan, from Bologna, and Joachim Anderson, and all these kind of players we're being linked with as well. So if we do kind of bring these players in, I do fear for Ben Davis.
And that's what Paratici wants. He wants a back three, doesn't he? So broadly, it's a bit interesting. Football director of football wanting a certain formation is a bit odd, but look, I guess that I think maybe you've seen the success of Chelsea. So you've seen how maybe at the Euros as well, how a lot of the better teams are playing free at the back. So maybe seeing that's the way forward.
You saw what Agresti said. He's a football genius, mate.
Exactly.
He's a football genius.
There's been a bit of breaking news, not Tottenham related, but Man United Dortmund have confirmed the sale of Sancho to Man United. So that is a massive, massive deal.
You're worried about that? He can't even get into the England team.
I'm very worried about that.
They're signing up for 90 million or whatever.
73. It's quite a good deal.
90 million euros, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a good deal, I think.
So there you go. That's a good deal?
Yeah. I do.
No, you think that's overpriced?
No, he's 21 years old. He's going to be a class winger for many years to come. I don't think he's overpriced at all. I think it's a very good deal.
I'm not sure about that, but let's move on. Let's get Gail on. Gail, how you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm good. I'm back home, so I'm in my little self-built studio. This mic is like a gift from my parents last summer, and I can finally use it properly this time. And I've got a sign over there, and I'm ordering some posters for myself to sort of like cover these up so that it looks even a bit nicer. But
are you getting a Nuno poster?
I've a Tottenham poster.
Are you going to get a Nuno poster though?
Ooh, I'm thinking about that. I haven't decided my order yet. It's DIY, so I still have some time. But maybe I'll find a cool photo of him or cool fan art of him and put him right there or something like that.
Gail, run me.
Got Nuno.
Exactly.
Nuno,
that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. Run me through your thoughts on. Run me through your thoughts on what you.
TV with no delays. Of course not. We've got Nuno Santo. Let's go.
So I'm guessing. Well, I'm not guessing. I can tell you're very happy with the managerial report. Is that because of Nuno, or is that just because we got a manager through the door finally?
I think it's both. more because it's a sigh of relief of, we finally got someone over the door, and preseason is coming up in exactly under a week, and we have somebody to take the wheel and to really assess the players, assess the squad, play some games, see how's everybody's doing, and pick his team against Manchester City in the start of next season. And I think I'm a big fan of Nuno when he was at Wolves, because when Wolves were promoted into the Premier League, I thought, what is this team? And when I watched them, I just remember some of their players, Moutinho, Neves, Neto on the side, Traore, Jimenez, even in their defense with Connor Cody. I think they play some very good attacking football at times going forward, and under the management of Nuno. And I know, he's more of like a defensive, towards the defensive side as a manager, similar to Jose. But I think there is something in him that just makes me feel he can bring this Spurs team alive with how many attacking choices we have at the moment. Last season, Stevie Wonder was basically at sleep, and he has so much talent within him, I believe, that he's just not used. And we're also looking at so many options outside of the team that we can bring in to really make this team alive going forward, and really play some good football again. And I think it's a solid choice. Would I prefer Poch? Of course. Would I prefer Conte? Of course. But reality is not always what we think it is, and especially with this board, with Levy, and everything, it's not easy to get a good manager, a great manager with an expensive price. He's looking at someone who's right in the middle, or even towards the cheaper but solid choice. But I'm glad that Paratici coming in here, doing the job, convincing Levy, saying, okay, we need a manager here. We need to get things going. And Nuno is a solid choice. We should go for him. And I think Paratici did a crucial job in that part of it, to convince Levy to really say, okay, I give you the green lights. He's coming in, and we got to get things going. So that is one thing that I really, I'm feeling a lot of positivity with what has happened with Paratici pushing this deal through the door, and Nuno finally coming in, and we can get some job done.
And who do you think? What kind of players do you think we're going to look to sign now with Nuno through the door? Do you think we're going to look at Wolves and maybe some of his old players?
I think that would be, Neto is someone who has caught my eye. Pedro Neto on the left wing, for quite a while, because he's fast, he's skilled, he has a good vision, and I think he can be very potent for us if he comes to us. And obviously, Adama Traore, I don't know if he's up for sale, but he's obviously, we know his quality. But I think a lot of Wolves players, they have great quality. It's just some of them, such as Traore, may not have the consistency that they should have playing for a big team. But I wouldn't mind Connor Cody coming in as well. He can be a good addition to our defense, for sure. And yeah.
Do you think that which players in the Spurs squad right now do you think it's going to benefit the most in Nuno coming in? Do you think there are any like kind of fringe players, maybe an Eric Dyer and Matt Doherty, players like that are really going to benefit with like Nuno coming in? Because Dyer always seems to get a new like refreshed sense of optimism within the squad whenever a new manager comes in.
And he speaks Portuguese.
And he speaks Portuguese as well.
Yeah, the language is always a big one in it. I think Matt Doherty is going to benefit just because he's worked with Nuno for quite a while in a system that Nuno likes. And Matt Doherty has obviously, before he came to Spurs 2 seasons ago, he was trusted a lot by Nuno in the attacking side of things. And what I see in Matt Doherty is he's a different player, but the old Matt Doherty that played for Wolves hasn't disappeared. And we've seen a snippet of that in the last game of our season. With the season that just ended, I thought, he was a little bit more alive, and I was thinking to myself, that's more like the Matt Doherty that I was watching when I was watching Wolves. And if, I think if Nuno comes in, I think Matt Doherty might benefit from that, but I'm not sure, because it really depends on the player to put in the work, to put in the effort to push for their spot in a new manager, especially a new manager coming in. I think another one would be Gio Lo Celso.
Oh, interesting.
Because, well, everything is relative, and I think just the last season he hasn't had the most splendid season ever under Jose, and also under Ryan Mason. And I think Nuno would like his sort of quick attacking style, playing through balls, quick, simple movements, and also very, very fierce defensive. I think Nuno would really like Lo Celso in a sort of like a central place in attack. And I think I would want to, because I'm a big fan of Lo Celso as well, and last season was a bit of a disappointment. But I have a sense to Lo Celso coming alive a little bit more this coming season. But I'm not sure. Every player, it's after a summer break, it's always going to be different. Some players are going to come alive. Some players are going to disappoint. It really depends on them and how they want to push themselves to impress Nuno. And Nuno also has to work hard to adapt to maybe a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 going forward. And it's going to be interesting, but I'm sure Nuno has the experience and the confidence in bringing us to a relatively better season this year.
Well, Gail, I can tell that you're very excited for the Nuno and the Portuguese revolution that's about to take over at Tottenham Hotspur. Where do you finally, my last question, where do you think that is our ceiling for this coming season? Where do you think we can finish, like, at the best?
At the best?
Do you think we can make a challenge for top 4 this year? Or do you reckon that's a bit too ambitious?
Yes. I think, yes, it's ambitious, but the question is, what's the ceiling? So I think, yes, top 4 definitely. If we really get things underway, if Nuno is able to input a system onto the team that the players are able to adapt quickly, first of all, it's going to be easy to adapt as the first condition. And then, the players start to work with it well. Nuno starts rotating players, playing in players at the right positions, at the right time, in the right games. I think we have the quality to finish in the top 4, or even bring home a domestic cup. And the Conference League, I think we're going to push hard for the Conference League anyways. And yeah, I think top 4 is the ceiling. We're gonna do well this season.
All right.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm keeping that positivity. I think everybody in the community should back Nuno what for whatever reason. Even though if you might have hated him when Wolves was at the realm, when he was at the realm for Wolves, but we should always get behind a manager who is newly coming in, and we should always support Spurs with positivity going forward, because with what we had last season, the only good thing for us to do is to expect the best and to really back our team. Yeah.
100%, Gail.
Nice
Gail,
one, well said.
Thank you so much for coming on, my friend, and we look forward to speaking
guys.
to you again very soon.
Nice one, Gail.
And come on, you
Cheers,
Spurs.
mate. Come on, you Spurs. Come on.
I want to also get people's opinions of what they think this appointment means for Harry Kane and what also it means for Gareth Bale, because Dan Kilpatrick yesterday tweeted out saying that Nuno will have a decision to make, although Tottenham don't have a second option, a second Bale loan is not completely out of the question. So now we have a new manager, so I also want to get people's opinions of what it could possibly mean for both
it's
those
not out of
players.
the question, but I think Ancelotti likes Bale a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I think he might.
Might be out of Ancelotti's hands, though, wouldn't it?
Could be out of Ancelotti's hands. But what's his name? Florentino Perez has come out and said some quite nice words about Bale recently as well.
He has. But it'll be interesting to see what it all means for these players. Will Nuno even want Bale? Can Nuno get Kane on side and maybe make sure, even though whether Kane leaves or not, make sure he's fully focused and can he convince Kane that we're on the right track with him in charge? Let's get Aravind on then. Hey Aravind, how you doing, my friend?
Good, good. Finally, we have a manager after so long. Yeah.
Finally! Come
Oh,
on.
70, after 72 days, scrolling my phone day by day and can't see a manager, and suddenly it pops up.
Exactly.
Ah,
72 days without a manager, about 72 managers linked with us, and about, what was it, about 7 or 8 managers who have been imminently joining Tottenham Hotspur. We finally landed on Nuno Espirito Santo. How do you assess his job that he did at Wolves and Valencia, and how do you think he's going to be at Tottenham Hotspur?
look. The thing is, why everyone is pissed off of why we got him is because we have been linked to Poch and Conte, which was not going to happen, and we were really positive about that happening. And if you compare the manager with what we have, it's obviously going to be underwhelming. So regardless of that two managers of what we have gone, it's much better option because Nuno knows the Premier League compared to Fonseca, and Gattuso is not someone which anyone really wanted. So it's much better appointment. Yes, it's underwhelming when you're going to compare the both of them which we're linked to, but a much better manager. He knows how to get young players up. He knows some players to get him like Doherty, Neto. They're really good players, and regardless of what he has achieved this season, the last 2 seasons he's been with Wolves. He's done really well. He has really performed well against big teams. Against City, he has done a double with his system. And against us, we every time we struggle with Wolves, it's not like it's an easy game. It's either 3-2, 3-0. Regardless of the last match, we have every time struggled. And even with Mourinho, the first match it was a draw, 1-1. So every time they've been a tough team, and it's not an easy team to break down. And Nuno has a much better squad than what he has in Wolves, and I think so he can really push forward up. If he can finish a seventh with a Wolves team, I know still a strong team, but no, compared to what we have and what are the depending on the signings we're going to bring in, and hopefully we get good signings up at the back. And if we get a defense sorted really well, I think so. Nuno isn't a bad one, and we can actually achieve something bigger than what we have done. And it's possible, and it's really possible. And he knows how to bring average players up, and that's what we really want, and that's what Levy wants. That's what our what he wants. So it's never a bad appointment, and I'm really excited of what he does with the team.
Are you Is there any reservations about maybe Nuno being too pragmatic, or maybe not playing the attacking football we all want to see and what we were promised by Levy, or do you think Nuno could bring that to us?
Look at what Paratici interviewed. He was saying that we need to bring back the DNA and all that stuff. I really think more than what he was, whatever shape he was being used to Wolves. They have looked more upon what he has done in Valencia and finishing top four using that attacking style more even. So I think so. There's going to be a change in system of what he's going to play, and that's something they have all agreed upon from his signing. So I don't think so. That is the only approach is going to use all the games. It may be used for some games, but I think so. That's going to be a whole different system, and people are saying three at the back. That's going to be an option, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be a few different systems, and we may see against lower teams playing much more attacking than what everyone expects. So I don't think so. That's the issue, and that's something which everyone has told. When they saw the interview, that's something which he's mentioned about. So there's going to be a new system for sure.
So you're excited for the new revolution, the new Portuguese revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at his recruitment structure at Wolves, bringing in a lot of young Portuguese talent into the Premier League that really did do well at Wolves. I mean, are you expecting a similar sort of recruitment policy, or is it going to be different because Paratici's there now?
I think so. It's going to be a mixture of both Paratici and he's going to work with Nuno. So what he suggests and what he gets with, it's much better pool of players, much better than what Levy suggests for sure. 100% of what we used to get for the last few seasons. It's going to be much
Still
better.
depends on Levy putting money in his pocket, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true of what he's going to give the finances, but. At least we're going to be linked with Paratici knows even if what can a 20 million player do or what can a 30 million player do. He knows the football world much better than what Levy is. yeah, regardless of how much is the price tag, that's going to be a final decision. But we're going to be linked with much better pool of players. That's a guarantee for sure. But which players is going to come on board, how much we're going to spend, that is only going to be on Levy. But we're going to be linked with much better players, and the players have been linked to the past few players, which Kunde, Skriniar. I don't know how much they're going to be costly, but at least we have better links than what we had before. So I'm confident we're going to get a few signings really well, and at least we have some. Paratici has something. We need to play three at the back. We need to get a defense sorted. If he wasn't there, I don't think so. We wouldn't be thinking of that for sure. So yes, it's our board and our members aren't great, and I'm never going to support them. But I need and as a fan, I'm really going to be positive, and what we're going to bring through with our system, and with what our sporting director is going to get. And we need to give a fair chance to both of them, Paratici and Nuno. We can't just throw them on the bus and say no, it's not that. We need to give them a season. Hopefully we do some miracles, and hopefully we do well this season. I'm really positive.
All right. I love to hear that positivity, Aravind. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll speak to you next time.
Come on, you
Cheers,
Spurs.
Aravind. Come on.
Come on, you Spurs.
Got a super chat here from Mintu Lee. Says,
Big up, Mintu Lee.
It says, about time, finally, I back him. I back all the managers while they're in the job. So we have a coach. Let's move on to buying some good defenders.
Yeah, it's
We
time
can
to
all
start
agree that. We can all agree with that.
that recruitment now. It really is time to get these players through the door. There isn't long. Pre-season does start on Monday. Like I said, it is July the 1st today, so it's actually Paratici's first official day in the job
That's why he's in
today.
London.
And obviously it will be Nuno's first official day on Monday, right? Is that the case?
I guess so. I mean, no, he's officially manager. So that's it, no?
All right.
Guess so, right?
But look who we got in the background. Someone who we haven't spoken to in a while. Big up
sure he's
Matt
done his
Hayes.
research,
Big
though.
up Matt Hayes. Let's bring him on. Matt,
Morning, gents. How are you?
how you
Morning,
doing,
Matt.
mate?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Always
Yeah.
a pleasure.
So obviously it's been a long slog, this managerial search. It has finally come to an end. Sum up your feelings for me.
It's just relief, isn't it? I mean, it is an underwhelming appointment. There are, of course, a lot of pros to bringing in Nuno because he does have various abilities that will help us improve in certain aspects. But look, I kept on saying it the whole way through. When you're promised one of Mauricio Pochettino or Antonio Conte, whether that was the club or whether that was the media, that's irrelevant. Nuno is underwhelming, and I think there is a sense of relief, partly because this whole thing is over. I think it was 72 days since Jose was sacked, but partly because it could have been so much worse. Where, of course, that Gennaro Gattuso debacle that all happened with the likes of Scott Parker being linked. I think it could have been worse. It's a very middling appointment, but I think Ariane hit the nail on the head there in the first call. There is just a massive wave of excitement just at the sheer fact that we have a manager, and it's baffling to see that because I'm sitting here scrolling through Twitter, seeing Arsenal interested in Locatelli. Apparently they've made a bid. You've seen United signed Sancho. Leicester have just made another signing with Ryan Bertrand, and we're sat here actually celebrating the fact that we have a man in charge of our team. It's
Leicester just signed Ryan Bertrand.
Yeah.
they got him on a free. Well, Romano said, "Here we go." It's not confirmed yet, but look, it's a manager, one that will certainly make a change in that squad in terms of personnel and in the way we play. He of course played defensively at Wolves last season, but like I've been saying, if this appointment was made 12 months ago, there's a very, very different opinion amongst the Spurs fan base because Nuno had to adapt a lot of what he did last season with the loss of Diogo Jota and Matt Doherty, and then the injury to Raul Jimenez. Some of the main dynamics within that team were taken away from him, and it was out of his control. So we did need to switch things up a bit. They really struggled in that back four. I don't think Connor Cody really suited that system. They couldn't get that overload in midfield with Neves and Martino being allowed to control things in there. So we did have to adapt, and it didn't quite work out for him. But you can look at that as a positive thing. The first season he played defensive football, he finished 6-7 places lower than he did the year before. So why would he come here and then play defensive football when clearly that isn't something that works for him? But I think we'll see attacking football. I'm concerned how many times he said DNA in the opening interview. It just seems very, very Levy sort of
Stinks
scripted.
of Levy, doesn't it? Absolutely
does.
stinks
Everything
of
is scripted from Levy. Of course.
Absolutely everything. But yeah, look, there's positives, there's negatives, but it's just good to have a manager in.
You say that it's an underwhelming appointment because is that just because we were linked with Pochettino and Conte? Let's say we weren't linked with them in the press, would it still have been an underwhelming appointment for you?
I suppose not as much, but like we are a bigger club. We are a better team than what we have shown in the Premier League in the last year, and we should be able to attract the managers that we want. That ones that have, of course, gone to different clubs throughout this whole scenario. Probably in like say before the last maybe decade or so, this would have been the type of manager that we go for. One who's not really at that top level, but kind of maybe a mid-table manager, and then we try and make them into what they are. And I suppose it essentially is what Pochettino was. But we want to be bigger than that. If we want to compete with the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Man City, all them, we need to pay the money to do that. And Daniel Levy seems to be the most ambitious man in the world, as long as it doesn't cost him more money than he planned. Because if Daniel Levy was willing to put his hand in the pocket to match the ambition that he has, we'd have Paulo Dybala, we'd have Bruno Fernandes, we'd have Antonio Conte. So if he really wants to say he wants us to win things, everything he's doing for this club, he wants to improve what's happening on the pitch, well then show us that. So you can't promise all this stuff to us and then bring us in. Again, a manager who is quite good.
Oh, is he gone?
Is he frozen there? I think Matt's frozen.
Proven at the level that we are at.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you
you're
just
back.
froze there for 10 seconds. And we'll try and get you back on, but you keep freezing over there.
Okay.
You're there?
back.
You're back,
He's
Matt?
back.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we can now. We can now. It just was a bit of a dodgy connection for 20 seconds or so.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, what were you saying? What were you saying the last 20 seconds?
I think Potter would have been an underwhelming appointment, and people are saying he's not proven at that top level in the Premier League, so why would we take him in? And others were saying, well, every manager to get to that point needs to be given the chance to prove themselves up there. But we as Tottenham shouldn't be that team who are giving managers the chance, especially like 2 years ago we were in a Champions League final. We should be the team who are bringing in those managers when they have proven themselves, so that we can guarantee whatever manager comes in is going to progress us as a team and progress us as a club. So this one, I do think this is a better appointment than Potter, but it just still doesn't hit that top level that I feel we should have aimed for.
The Irish Hotspur is in the chat saying Matt freezing is why he's Ireland's number 2 Spurs fan. The
Irish Hotspur needs to learn his place.
Brilliant. But let me ask you this question. We could have hired Nuno 2 months ago. You know, he left Wolves right at the end of last season. On the same day he left Wolves, he became the outright favourite for the Tottenham job, and Spurs distanced themselves from Nuno on that same day. And even some journalists, I think Jack Pitbrook, saying Nuno will not be Tottenham's next manager. We're sitting here 2 months later. He has just been appointed. But how much will that set us back, those 2 months just wasting time, do you think?
Massively, but I personally don't think it was the case that we could have got him 2 months ago. For me, the fact that this appointment has happened now, when earlier in the hunt it was so clear that we didn't want him, I think it kind of confirms that it is Fabio Paratici behind this, and we wanted Daniel Levy to renounce the control of the footballing side of the club, and it appears to me as though he has done that. And yes, he did get involved with the hashtag no to Gattuso, and I'd like to have my say on no to Nuno as well. He did get involved in that, but that was probably something he didn't get involved in. But the fact that now you can see how much Nuno is a Paratici appointment with regards to the three at the back, the fact he wanted him, or apparently wanted him at Juventus last year, and the way the Spurs didn't want him, and now all of a sudden he's a manager. I do think there is positives coming out of that it shows it is a Paratici appointment rather than Daniel Levy getting too heavily involved when he has apparently appointed someone to take control of this stuff.
Do you think Nuno has got the qualities to take us into the Champions League next season? Is that a realistic target for us?
Not at all. If Spurs get into the top 4 next season, I will be the most surprised Spurs fan on earth. And I like to think I'm a positive, optimistic fan, but you can look at us bringing in Nuno and the squad that we have. If we're keeping Harry Kane, if Son is signing that new contract, if we get Jules Koundé, if we get Anderson, this player, that player, the other, it's not a case of looking at how strong we are and simply judging our chances and our expectations on that. We also have to look at how strong everyone else in the league is. And you look at Man City, probably their best season under Guardiola last year in the way they were playing and the way they were grinding out those results. Liverpool, I think, are going to be back once their players are fit. Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel looking really, really strong. United haven't brought in Sancho. They're looking now to get Rafael Varane. I think those teams are just still a long way ahead of us. But there's nothing to say that 2-3 years down the line we can't be at that level. But next season, I do think that is completely out the window. We just need to kind of stop the free fall and just stabilize this club. And maybe it is going to be, I know we always talk about it, but that painful rebuild that Poch spoke about 2 years ago, maybe that is starting now. Maybe we wanted it with Jose. He drastically failed. And now Nuno's going to do that. I don't think there should be any optimism or any overexcitement going into the next season, because it is just a case of stabilizing this football club and building a platform that we can build on in the coming decades.
All right, Matt, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate, and we'll speak to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks a million for having me, guys. See you soon.
See you, Matt. See you in a bit.
All right.
The Irish Hotspur saying he does know his place, Matt, and it's at number 1. That's his place. I had to wait till Matt got off there.
Simon Stone of the BBC just, in the last hour or so.
Nuno is there. Is that Nuno?
No, he needs to dye his beard a bit whiter, and then he might look a bit more like Nuno.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's Nuno a few years ago. Let's see. Is he coming on to call? Is he crashed?
Let's bring him on. Let's bring him on.
Is he crashed?
Is he crashed? Move your head if you haven't crashed.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Hey, Cody. Mac doo 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 doo. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, they just wanted to bring in a manager that looked a bit like Cody Mack. So
can you
that's
tell
why
us?
I brought in
Can you
Nuno.
look straight down the camera and tell us that you're going to make us proud?
We're gonna make us proud. We're gonna have Spurs DNA. We're gonna make you proud.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff.
But Cody, what are you feeling about the whole managerial farce, first of all, and then now about the appointment of Nuno?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would have been our first choice, but the reality is the way that it's played out, he probably was the best remaining choice. So I'm just excited to have a manager, like some of the previous guests have said. I'm excited not to be talking about the speculation. I'm excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about his history as a manager, because we've seen a snapshot in the last 3 years, but that doesn't really form the entirety of his career as a manager. Mm-hmm. I think the negativity towards the appointment leading up to it was, I agree with you, Sim, a little bit embarrassing in terms of, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But like, why can we get no to Nuno trending number 1, but we can't get Levy out trending number 1? It will never sit well with me. So yeah, I'm excited. And I certainly hope that this kicks off a busy summer for us, and that we get the ball rolling here and get some players moved out and some new players brought in.
Are you hopeful that we can have a successful season next year? And what does success look like for this team right now?
I think I would reserve my analysis of hope for the upcoming season until we see if there's going to be some player turnover, because I think we've seen with this group of players, it's not the manager that's the issue, and we've seen, the tail end of the Poch era, the players were being worked too hard, and then Mourinho comes in, the players weren't being worked hard enough. We need to have some sort of turnover in this squad for me to think that we can be a legitimate top 4 challenger, since, when you look at the teams that are starting to already reload and be rumored to be making big moves, obviously you've got City and Liverpool who are going to be there again, and Van Dijk will be back and healthy for Liverpool. You have to expect that they'll have a better season. Chelsea and Manchester United are always up for spending money in the transfer window. Jadon Sancho on his way to Manchester United. And Leicester have been making some of the most shrewd and wise moves of any club in the transfer window so far, and they've been linked with more moves as well. So we are behind big time right now in terms of transfer business, and considering the amount of business that needs to be done. So for me, like, I know obviously you want top 4 in a trophy. That's the goal. But I think if we get back into the Europa at this point, I would be fine with that. But we have a manager.
It's the 72 days it's taken us to appoint a manager is. All right, Apologies about that, guys. We are back here with Cody Mack, or Nuno, whatever you want to call him. As we were saying, Cody, we're talking about how far this has maybe set us back, this managerial search, waiting so long to hire Nuno, and we could have had him, a couple months ago. Go on, carry on as what you were saying about that.
Yeah, I mean, what I was just saying is that in the short term, for sure, it set us back. That's just every day that it took, especially like by far and away, like one of the most farcical manager searches that I've seen in professional sport. Never mind just the Premier League or football. So, but I think in the long run, the fact that Nuno wasn't even on Levy's list gives me hope that he's actually going to cede control of footballing decisions to Fabio Paratici. So if that's the case, then I think in the long run it will be worth it. But for sure in the short run, it set us back. I mean, we look like we've been riding the short bus here with the rest of the Premier League doing business, and bigger clubs like Inter and Real Madrid. They're just getting managers in the same week that they either sack or have a manager leave, like a real football club does. So it's been embarrassing. That's for sure. I'm just excited that aspect is over. The way I look at it is we've stopped the bleeding, and now we can start to heal the wound.
Yep, I completely agree. And knowing where Nuno's been at Wolves, do you think, first of all, what do you think about his style of play? And do you have any reservations about it?
No, but I'm not the type that's going to have to make attacking football a condition of being the manager at Tottenham Hotspur. And I know that historically speaking, that's been the case forever. Since the last time that we won.
So you can't know?
I think this is our
winning is not good. I don't really have any
we're down
reservations
again.
about the style that Nuno's going to play.
We're down again, Vinny.
Sorry, Cody. I think we've just gone down again. Oh, we're back up again. Oh, hi, guys. Yeah, sorry about that. Carry on, Cody.
No, I'm not worried about the style of play from Nuno. I think some of the things that Nuno brings that I'm excited about is that he makes fitness a priority. You can see that he has a good balance of both respect for his players, but also holding them accountable. I think his teams work hard. They have a good sense of togetherness. He has shown in the past that he has tactical flexibility and is able to adapt. I love that he brings passion on the touchline, and he's not afraid to drop a soundbite in an interview. You saw that interview from December where he just roasted Lee May. So I think people are. I think he's going to surprise some people.
I completely agree, Cody. I completely agree. But look, absolute pleasure getting you on, Cody, as always, and we'll speak to you soon.
Glory,
Cheers,
glory.
Cody. Glory,
mate.
Come on, Cody. Big up to you. All right. Yeah, apologies for the technical difficulties we're experiencing. Hopefully that'll be the last of it.
Yeah, it's just laggy internet problems. But who have we got next? Kieran.
Kieran,
is that how you pronounce your
Kieran?
name? Is it Kieran?
Yeah, sorry, Kieran.
How you
Kieran.
doing,
no,
mate?
that's-
How you doing, Kieran?
Can hear
I'm
you.
good.
Can hear you.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, good. I mean, finally, we've got a new manager after 72 days or whatever it may be. Are you excited, or is it just more of a relief for you?
I think the main feeling is relief. Like you said, finally we have a new manager.
Yeah.
But then I suppose it's kind of backed up. I think he has a potential to do a lot better than people are kind of giving him credit for at the moment, or at least some people are giving him credit for. So part of me is just relieved, and the other part of me is like, well, this could actually become a good sign-in. But obviously, that remains to be seen, I suppose.
Yeah.
We all thought Jose was going to potentially be a good sign-in. Look at that turn.
Down again.
We're down again.
I'm not sure. Are we down again? Are we?
I think give us a sec. Yeah, I think we just went down again. Something. Don't know what's going on.
Alright, I don't know what's going on here.
One sec. We're live or not? We are live. Yeah, we're live. We're still on air.
All right, carry
Yeah,
on.
I can hear you
Kieran.
guys.
Carry on.
Yeah,
Kieran.
yeah. Go
Yeah,
on.
sorry.
So,
Yeah, I'm not sure necessarily has more pedigree, but I suppose when you look at what he's done with Wolves, when he originally took them over in the Championship, they were 15th the season before he took them over, took them to outright winners, and then he's come into the Premier League and his first 2 seasons finished 7th. So I suppose in terms of like what he's done in maybe a short period of time, maybe he's done more than Poch, but does he play better football? I don't know. I probably wouldn't say so. I mean, Poch was kind of held as this person who'd like absolutely transformed Southampton at the time. So has he probably achieved more? Yes, because he's actually won something with Southampton. Poch didn't. But I don't know whether I'd say he has more pedigree.
well, you could argue the job Nuno did at Wolves is better than what Poch did at Southampton. So Poch,
Yeah.
I think, finished 8th at Southampton. Nuno's finished in the top 7 with Wolves, and he took them up from the Championship, whereas Poch was taking over a Premier League team when he took over at Southampton. So, I mean, there is an argument to be said he has done a stronger job, and maybe with better tools he could even improve on that. But apart from the Wolves job, the only caveats I would say is he hasn't really stayed at a job, has he? Longer than I think 2 years or 18 months, apart from the Wolves job, which is maybe something to be concerned about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like you said though, he actually just speaking about what you said about potentially doing better than Poch, finishing 7th. I think when you look at the 2 seasons where he did finish 7th, they actually had the 5th least goals conceded in the Premier League, which I suppose shows that he was able to build, a stronger defensive unit. And I think in one of the seasons he had like the best record versus the top 6 for any teams outside of it. So he showed that he kind of built that Wolves team that deserved to be in 7th. I know 7th doesn't sound luxurious, but for Wolves coming up from the Championship, I suppose that was an amazing season for them. But yeah, like you said, he's not necessarily been at a job for too long. Does that cause concern? Like maybe, but I suppose every time he's kind of gone from club to club, in a sense, it's kind of been a step upwards. And I suppose if you're progressing as a manager and you got the opportunity to take a step upwards, why wouldn't you kind of take that opportunity? So look, now he's got an opportunity at Tottenham. It is a big opportunity for him. Will he be here longer than 2 years? I don't know. I suppose it all depends on how well he does, but I think he can do well.
Yeah, and I think he's a manager with a lot of potential. I think we've given him a 2-year deal. There are some fans who might think he's a placeholder manager. What do you think about that perception? Do you think we've brought him in just maybe to write until Poch maybe his contract is up, or do you think actually we are looking at him as a man to build our future with?
Originally, with the whole managerial search, it seemed like everyone was kind of being, well, from the reports, it seemed that everyone was being offered 2-year deals. So I thought originally this is going to be a stopgap before Poch comes back or something like that. But I think the more it goes on, you look at PSG's transfer window, I think that Poch coming back at the end of 2 years is probably unrealistic. Personally, I don't think he will come back at the end of the 2 years unless he's sacked from PSG for whatever reasons. So I don't know. I think maybe the 2 years is just not overcommitting to a manager, potentially. I don't necessarily think it's a stopgap. I think it's just trying to not give too long like 2 years is comfortable. 1 year is kind of too short. They can leave at the end of the year and then we're in the same situation. 3 years is maybe a bit too long. It's a bigger payout, but 2 years might be just comfortable. See how they get on their first season or so, and then potentially extend a contract from there.
Okay.
And where do you think is the kind of highest we can finish next season with Nuno? You mentioned, Wolves kind of did well to finish 7th. Where do you think Spurs can do, or he could do with Spurs?
I think a big part of it's going to be the transfer window we have will play a big part in it. Do we get Deadwood out? Do we get players in? But I think realistically, we're probably going to look at Europa League. I think if we get Champions League, I think it'd be a good season anyway. I think if you look at the past 2 years, we've gone from Europa League, now we're in Europa Conference. It's kind of been a slide since that season. We got to the Champions League final. So I'd say Europa League, as long as we get some good results, I'd say it's probably where we expect to get this season. Europa League, but contending for Champions League. I just don't think we'll burst straight back into Champions League unless we have a really good transfer window. which I'm not expecting. But if we do, then potentially we could get Champions League. But yeah, for me, I'd say
do you think the Conference League will be a big ambition for Nuno next season?
So I'm not sure because, like, while it is a trophy, I suppose in documentary Daniel Levy is saying that top four is kind of like that priority, or I think even Poch said before that top four was like always one of the club's goals. So I'm not sure whether we'll take it 100% seriously. I think as a manager you probably want to win everything that's available to you. So for him, I'd say he will take it seriously. Maybe not the beginning stages of it. Maybe we'll see some youth players or some of our kind of third choice players playing. But I think as the competition maybe progresses, we play some of the better teams in the competition, I can see him taking it a lot more seriously, because at the end of the day, whether it's a good or bad trophy, it's a trophy and it's a tournament that we can win.
Okay. And would you like to see any players from Wolves maybe come over to Spurs? Do you think any of them are realistic, decent price that would improve us?
The only one I can think of is probably Ruben Neves. Like Pedro Neto I like as well, but I think the issue with him is he doesn't necessarily put away a lot of chances. I think Wolves had like the third lowest goals, like shot to goals ratio in the Premier League last season, and it just shows they had more shots than us last season, but they were scoring substantially less. I think like Pedro Neto only got like 5 goals in the season, so while I think he's a good player, I don't know whether he's the right fit for us, because it's basically another Lucas in the sense of they'll only get 5 or so goals.
Yeah. And what do you think about in terms of the time it's taken? We all know it's taken a long time for us to find a manager, 72 days. Do you think, though, how it's going to hold us back in our preparation for next season, all that time it's taken?
Yeah, 100%. Look, if we went and appointed Nuno straight away within the first couple of weeks, he would have had all this time to actually evaluate the squad he has just a little bit before the Euros, and then throughout the Euros, he'd be able to see the players or whatever, or actually build a plan for what they're going to do with the players available to us, who we need to bring in, who we need to get out. Now it's very much of like a rushed situation where he's going to training on Monday when the players are coming back, and he's going to have to evaluate really quickly what do we need. And I think that plays against us, because that's when things are rushed, that's when you make the wrong signings. Players that, yes, you need a player in that position, but you end up signing the player that isn't the perfect fit. And I think, like you said, just the fact it's taken so long makes this signing seem underwhelming. But I think it also hinders the opportunity or the chance that he has to be successful, because he doesn't have as much time.
Yeah, and maybe as well, because of that, there are players who maybe under the previous manager, or even some of the fans might think we would run out the door and want to sell, but maybe he would have to make do with them as we don't really have enough time to assess the squad before the season starts. Do you think, are there any players in the squad right now who may be outcast or maybe out of favour under Mourinho, who you might think could get a second chance under Nuno?
Yeah, I think we see Doherty's obviously kind of dropped that second choice. I think obviously he's the obvious answer. I think Dyer obviously necessarily wasn't an outcast to Mourinho, but I think obviously to the fans, he's someone that we don't want to see. Somehow he just continually sneaks into the starting 11 whenever we have a new manager, and I think Nuno, unfortunately, will probably be the same. Other players that maybe had opportunities, I'd say maybe Bergwijn could maybe have a little bit of a second chance. Not necessarily he's been outcast, but towards the end of the season, he necessarily wasn't getting the opportunities he was at the start of the season.
And maybe even something like I don't know if you mentioned Harry Winks. He could be one who could get a second win, because players like Moutinho have been very in favour under Nuno, and maybe you could think someone like Winks could have a role to play in that central midfield. What do you think?
I think potentially he could. Obviously, a lot of fans won't want to hear that, but I think when you look at it objectively, there is a potential. I think any players that are out of favour now, likes of Ben Davies, any of these players because he has such a short time to evaluate these players, he's going to have to make a judgment based on the first kind of few training sessions, the first week. And I think if they perform well there, he might feel like he has, like these players can do a job for him, and that could end up in us seeing them playing for us or having the opportunity at the beginning of the season playing under us. So I think that Harry Winks potentially coming in, we've seen him, with Mason at the end getting chances. I think there is an opportunity there that he will sneak back into the squad.
For one player, given the formation Nuno likes to play with that three, whether it be 3-4-3 or maybe 4-3-3, do you think someone like Dele Alli might find his chances even further limited, right, with this appointment? Or do you think it could be a good appointment for him as well?
I think to be honest, he'd probably see less involvement. I think Nuno just likes people that will receive the ball, play the pass, and progress it up the pitch. I think Ali sometimes, he wants to do some tricks or flicks, or he wants to kind of hold on to the ball and try and beat players. I think sometimes that slows down the play, and I don't think that's necessarily what Nuno has when in his central midfielders in his teams. So I think if Dele Alli can adapt his game maybe to play the ball quick and not rely on maybe being so much of this little bit of a flair player, and with the nutmegs and stuff, if he can just get the ball, play it, and learn to play that way, then he could get into this team. But currently, the way he plays, I don't see him being necessarily favoured.
That's what I worry about as well. I think Dele Alli could be a player who maybe suffers even more than he suffered in the latter end of the Jose Mourinho tenure, because I'm not sure where depends. I guess depends what formation Nuno likes to play, but it could definitely be. I'm not sure if there's a space for him or a role for him in the team where Nuno likes. And at the moment with Dele as well, he needs to get his head right, and at the moment it just doesn't seem that way. But Kieran, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Absolutely, thank you for coming on as always, and we'll speak to you soon, mate.
No problem. Take care, guys. Have a good day.
Cheers. Thanks, Kieran.
Bye, mate.
Super chat here from Nate D saying, if we sign Anderson and Cody, would we be happy? Not particularly.
Not
for me
particularly.
anyway.
No, I'm not massive fans of them, to be honest. Anderson I like.
I was about to say, well, you've been banging on about Anderson all
I like
season.
Anderson, even though he didn't really get in the Denmark team for the Euros. But in terms of Cody, I think we can do better than Cody. I really do.
Cody is similar level to Eric Dyer in my opinion.
Yeah. I think if Dyer played for Wolves, people would like him. I think people would say he's a good defender. But he's just not at the level we need. But look, as I've said before, Dyer's not a bad player. If he's good, if you want to be in Europa League, he's fine. He's an absolute quality. He's a competent Europa League defender. But where Spurs want to be, we don't want to be in Europa League. We want to be Champions League. And quite frankly, he just doesn't really have the ability to be a top Champions League defender. And that's our gripe we have with him. It's not he's just an awful player. It's just he's not good enough for what we want. And that's the reality with Eric Dyer. And I think Cody's probably the same.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. If we do want to be competing at the top again and getting into the Champions League, we need to be looking at players like Milan Skriniar and pushing the boat out and getting Daniel Levy to put some money on the table to get some proper players through the door. And that's the situation we're in now. But look, let's just cap off this live stream because I think there's nobody waiting in the back end anymore. And
maybe we can we react to this video? Maybe I've got this video on Instagram.
Second, let me just get to this super chat from Bob Spur. Big up Bob Spur out of the way. Sorry he couldn't get on. There was a few technical difficulties, but he says unable to get on due to issues. But just want to say we can differentiate between supporting Nuno and backing Levy. I'll back Nuno, but Enoch out, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. What video do you want to react to?
There's this video from BR Football, man. It might be funny to react to that they've posted. I don't know if we can hear it.
No, you got the wrong.
Can I pause this video? How does this work? I don't know how Instagram video works.
Yeah, all right.
All right, 1 sec. It was a funny video of our managerial search. They've summed it up. I thought it was quite a funny video, but I don't know how you pause it. How do you pause it? Does anyone know on the chat how to pause bloody Instagram video?
I don't think you can.
You can't pause it.
I don't think so, unless you just tap it or something.
I'm trying, yeah. Doesn't. No. One sec. Okay, fine. One sec. What was it? Yeah, go on. Can we hear that? I can't hear it. Well, it's funny. Well,
Well, everyone just go on Instagram and go and have a look at that video.
I thought it was look, if we could hear it, it'd be funny. But anyway, it's a funny video on BR Football, which you should take a look at. It pretty much sums up a whole managerial search, which I had a good fun laughing at it. If you don't laugh, you're going to cry. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it for now.
All right, another super chat from Danny Kiriaki saying back end won't let us join again. I'm really sorry, Danny, but we will get you on for the next show. I'm not sure what was happening today. But anyway, that is it. Nuno is our new manager. I really hope everyone does get 100% behind him, back him right until the end. He is our new manager now, so that is exactly what we're going to do. And I for one, are quite excited. I understand people's frustrations with the kind of managerial search and what a farce it has been, but it is over now. So it's time to back him. It's time to, if you want to kind of focus your frustrations on someone, focus it at the top, focus it on Daniel Levy. But as Bob Spurs said, you can still want Enoch out and you can still back Nuno Espirito Santo all at the same time. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. And I hope you guys will follow suit there as well. So look, thank you everyone for joining today. It's been another big Good Morning Tottenham, a nice 1.5 hour stream for you guys. We'll be back later on with a Wolves channel to talk more about Nuno. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Spurs.